Hello and welcome back to a very big episode of this FM21 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. We're back for a new week and we are back in style because we are managing our first game in charge of our new club, Glasgow Rangers. Now in a couple of episodes' time, we'll be making our debut as England manager too, so there's a lot to look forward to this week on The Head Coach. It's a journeyman series, there's no saying staffing, contracts and transfers, and I think we've seen what that can cause a bit earlier on in this window. The club's financial situation has been resolved, but we are not looking in the greatest of shapes. So if you're looking forward to seeing how we get on with Rangers and with England over the next season or two, please do give a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM21 content from two long-term stories. We're absolutely flying along now in our Build a Nation with Bangor City, and we're getting towards a crucial stage with the other sides in the nation. You can find the full playlist up in the eye above if you want to catch up. There's also a link to some other mini-series like Scotland at the Euros and my Twitch channel where we'll be watching a semi-final of the Euros tomorrow night between Italy and Spain. And of course the food channel as well, which is just starting up. But we've got Kilmarnock today in what should be a winnable game. I mean, for the old firm clubs and for Hibs, I guess, in this save, any of the games against the bottom half sides should be winnable games. We have a look at Kilmarnock. They came up 2 seasons ago, had a great year last year to finish 6th. If we look at their key players, they're actually not that bad. They've got a lot of quality coming through, and he's a good youngster with electric pace, but shouldn't really be competing with the likes of us. So this is going to be a difficult test. We've got our skipper out injured for another month or so. We've had a couple of other little knocks going around as well. But we'll find out the answer to that in a few minutes. Very hot for Scotland. In the meantime, we've got to find out our draw for the Europa League, which you can probably just see in the top right of the screen, and what else has been happening in the build-up to the Scottish Premiership season. So let's have a start with the schedule. Pre-season has been mixed. We said after Fleetwood we've got more difficult games coming up against good French opposition. They were all tight games, which I think is probably a very good sign, but there were a couple where we didn't quite look the best team on the pitch. We looked second best, we got outfought, we got outplayed, and unfortunately we fell at the final hurdle. 2-1 defeats to Saint Etienne and to Marseille as well. But we did beat Lens 1-0. An own goal was the one that got us the win, but that was largely a backup side, so I'm actually pretty pleased with that result. You can see now as well who we'll be facing in the next episode alongside the old firm match against Celtic, and it is Club Bruges, the Belgians. Now, I don't actually think we've crossed their path at any stage in this series. In our Bangor City save, we've faced them loads of times, but here, I don't think we have. Their star player is Christy Younger. Very good player, an official wonder kid, a holding midfielder that would suit our team down to the ground, and we can't afford him, which shows how good he is. But that end to August is going to be absolutely amazing. Celtic, our former club Dundee, where we won our first trophy of our career, and a double header against Club Bruges. It could be make or break for our season before the end of August there, but of course Celtic, separated by 2 crucial Europa League ties, it's going to be really difficult because we're going to have to rotate the squad a bit. And it's not really big enough to rotate. If I go and show you the transfers so you can see what I mean, there is one player potentially coming into the club at the moment. That's Jose Antonio from AC Milan. Another midfielder, not an area we hugely need to strengthen. Can play centre mid, attacking mid and on either wing. The 23-year-old Brazilian. He's a good player. I just can't see why he's the priority for us to sign. Maybe that means 1 or 2 will get sold, but I think we need to be prioritising areas we don't have 2 or 3 good players. Banguero had a rejected offer from Sporting Lisbon, the goalkeeper. He's had a couple accepted where he's rejected the club too. So I feel like he's one that could end up going before the end of the window. And then Finn Malcolm has probably led to the most problems I've ever experienced in this save. Certainly this year, not just because of the fact that he wanted a new challenge and that he wanted to go, and our director of football keeps rejecting the offers. The thing that's leading me to struggle the most is the dynamics. He has caused a full dressing room revolt. I know the players are getting a bit better now. We've made one of the players unhappy. There's a number that don't get on well because we've basically told them to shut up and get on with it because it's not their business whether Finn Malcolm wants a new challenge, and it's not even our business whether an offer gets accepted. So lots of players in agreement with him. It has led the players to come offside a little bit, and maybe that'll take us a few more games to get the hang of it. And most of our players aren't match fit because they've not been training as hard, they've not been playing as well, and we've had to cancel 1 or 2 friendlies. So I'm really concerned about the start of this game. However, it's Kilmarnock, it's a chance for us to win, and if we get 3 points, all will be forgiven. We've also got to bear in mind what might happen for the rest of the window. We are fortunate now with Rangers to have a remaining budget of just over 5 million. Now the reason for that is because there's a few clauses in transfers that had been sold on. So we got one to say someone had made 50 appearances and we got 1.7 million, I think it was. And then there was another sell on that ended up being about 1.1. So there are a couple of big deals elsewhere that have helped us out this summer. I don't think there's many more clauses that are going to be recovered this year. No news on Damian Martinez, who when we joined the club was the player who was desperately wanted by others. No sign of him going anywhere at the moment. And actually, he's had a decent pre-season. He's training pretty well. So he might be one of those that we have to rely on now. He's looking at whether he wants to go to a bigger club. That's something we'll worry about later. If we head over to the medical centre, I did mention about the injuries, of course. Star player Morten Gertsen has pulled his groin. He's on his way back now, but not quite fit again. Certainly won't be involved today. It's a shame, not just because of his ability. We said he did make the tactical decisions a little bit more difficult for us. However, that personality is something we're going to miss today. Someone who's driven, who's focused, who's determined. And that's where I think we're going to come down. We've not got many of those in the squad. And the more we can have fit, the better. As Murray Reid is out with a torn abdominal muscle, he'll be out till after the international break, I'm afraid. No featuring in the next episode at all. He's just nowhere near there. He is one of those who's had a dressing room revolt with us as well. He's a team leader and he's got on side with Finn Malcolm. He might end up regretting that later down the line. But those two are definitely out. Jaden Fevrier back from his twisted ankle. He's not match fit, but he is back from injury. And given the injury to Reid, we might have to start him. So let's go and get through to our tactic. We said we're probably going to play a 4-2-3-1. There's nothing in our armoury that suggested that's going to change. There were another couple of youngsters that came in. Jack Clyde was being looked at in the last episode. Then Harry Sewell is a young right back, I think. Not bad attributes, but probably not going to make it as first choice. So if we go and get into the fixtures, we could have a couple of very big decisions to make today. But most importantly, let's go and get our 11 selected. I haven't yet put it in place. I'm going to go for gut instinct. And we'll be back in a moment to run through the 11 that will be facing Kilmarnock in our opening game. Okay, so I think it's fair to say herein lies the problem with only having a small squad. We've got 2 players injured and we've only got a first 18 to choose from. That includes the fact we promoted the 16-year-old Peter Burns. And he's, 2-star ability. He's not really a top-class Scottish Premier League player. That includes a very weak backup goalkeeper. And it includes a real lack of width defensively or centre midfielders that can make a difference. Now, I know in the sort of wide positions in midfield, both Griffith and Martinez can play centre mid. But it doesn't fill us with the most amount of hope that we're going to have a successful season. Certainly when we get to 2 games a week. So I'm hoping there will be 1 or 2 that join us. The only position we don't really need strength in depth is centre mid. If we can get a good winger, then Martinez and Griffith are the backups once Gertsen comes in as well. I know defensively we've got Murray Reid to come back. That will make a difference. We're still not strong enough there. As it is though, the 11 we've gone for today is Fangero in goal as a sweeper keeper. 2 supporting wing-backs in Martins and Fevrier with Harwood Bellis and Finley Burns the ball-playing defenders. Incidentally, we've picked Harwood Bellis over Bowman just because he's a bit more experienced. He's a bit quicker in a fairly slow defence. He's also a little bit more comfortable on the ball. Smorgon and Palumbo in the middle, probably our strongest area of the team. Finn Malcolm edged up front ahead of Henderson. Malcolm more unhappy, has caused more problems, but Henderson's still supporting him, so it doesn't really make much of a difference. Griffith and Martinez inside off the wings, and then Batista, the new signing, as the number 10. In terms of mentality and tactics, we've gone for positive. We want to try and get on the front foot. I didn't want to go too aggressive because Finn Malcolm is still going to be relied on in behind. And so is Henderson if he ends up coming in as well, because they're 2 very quick centre forwards. And I want them to have space to run into. That's also the reason I haven't gone for a high line of engagement or defensive line. I've stayed on normal, not really to suit our slow defenders, because we will have quicker ones once everyone's fit. But more so we've got more space to run in behind to. And then, to match that up, we've gone a little bit more direct. So we've got the standard passing instead of slightly shorter. We're still playing with width, but we're not focusing the play out there. I want to have options. I want to play through the pitch, and I want to play at speed. I'm not sure how some of these lads will keep it up. The likes of Fevrier and Finn Malcolm in particular, nowhere near fit. But for today's game against Kilmarnock, this is the 11, and the 18 picks itself, because there's nobody else available by youngsters. Let's see how they get on. We've got a week off after. There's no need to rest people. We've just got to win our first game in charge. Okay, so looking at the Kilmarnock lineup today, we looked at War, who's obviously a threat going down the wing. He's coming up against an unfit Fevrier as well, so he might get beaten a couple of times there. The ones I'm most interested in, though, Will Mannion was a hero for me off camera a few years ago in a one-club save. He's a very good goalkeeper. And Rhys Williams. And in fact, I found another as well. Rhys Williams at centre-half was a hero for us at Torquay. Demeko Dehaney, we had him last year too. There are so many familiar names there. We had Dehaney this year at Dundee United as well, didn't we? So actually, there must be a fair bit of experience in this Kilmarnock side. For us, though, we're just going to encourage the lads. We're going to try and get some positivity into these. And maybe if we can have a flying start, then Finn Malcolm will want to stay and the rest of the problems will resolve themselves. Our former club Dundee, 2 up in a matter of 5 minutes. They're absolutely flying. 3-0 in 7 minutes now. As we come back for the first highlight. Kilmarnock clear it long down the right. Martins heads away as far as Fitzharris. We've really got to try and grow into this game as Williams plays to Leary. So far, Kilmarnock arguably look the more comfortable in possession as they play up to the centre forward. I'm trying to remember how many of these were here when we were in Scotland last as they go for the shot. This is going to be a lot harder than we thought. This is not, the little old SPL that people seem to call it in real life. I mean, I'm a fan of the league anyway. And obviously it's given us great times in this story. But so far, this league has come on leaps and bounds, and we have started absolutely atrociously. We cannot even talk to the boys. I don't know what's going on here. 25 minutes, we've not had a shot on target. We've only had 1 shot on goal at all. Where on earth has the performance come from? And this is the problem with this game. We've said it before. Everything is about man management and morale. And we took a gamble because we wanted Finn Malcolm in this side. And we may end up regretting that because at the moment, Kilmarnock are dealing with us really easily. As Martins chips it forward, it's just coming straight back at us. We can't actually break them down and get in their attacking third. As Burns goes over the top to Batista, in towards the byline. There's 3 in the box if we can find them. Back to Palumbo on the edge. Batista in, Malcolm's there! Straight at the goalkeeper. Finn Malcolm, he probably had to score that. It's the reason we fought so hard to keep him. And in the end, it's shot straight at the keeper as Martinell puts it in. Headed away by McLeish as far as Leary. This is turning into a disaster. I think we're seeing why Hibs have overtaken Rangers in this save now. There's not a lot of bottle in this team, and there's not a lot of good mentality. I mean, the fact that if you take it into isolation, you've seen a manager who's come from elite clubs of the world. Like, they've won the Champions League at Spurs, they've won Serie A at Juventus, they've won the Copa del Rey at Real Madrid in the last 3 years. They've come to Rangers, and you've tried to have a fight with him about implementing his style. I mean, I don't really understand that mentality, but it does show that there's a lot of work to do here. We've got the lads motivated at half-time. We've basically shoved a rocket up their backside. And in the second half, we need a big reaction. Because if we don't, this is going to be an embarrassing start. Let's get into the second half. I will not leave it long before subs. Right, we're coming up to the hour mark. We've not even had a highlight. I have no idea where the lack of threat is coming from. I'm going to chuck Henderson up front because Finn Malcolm's mentality's got to be doing something. I mean, Henderson's nervous. He's not going to be much better. On the left wing, do you know what? I'm going to bring on Dean Craig because we mentioned him when we came to the club that his attributes look better than he was. But he's a traditional winger. He'll get down the line and cross the ball in, and that's exactly what I want. I can then make an inverted winger out of Griffith. I can also take off... I mean, I want to take the left back off because he's not been particularly good. But who do I then bring on? Or do I go for the experience of a Zakiri, something like that? I mean, Martins is a very defensive-minded fullback. The only alternative, though, is the youngster Peter Burns. I think we have to go for it. Martins off, Burns on to right back, Fevrier out to left back. And let's see if we can go all out attack. I am really struggling to get to grips with this because at the moment we don't look a threat. I'm going to go more attacking, more aggressive. We're going to press them all the way up the pitch. I don't think that focusing our play out wide is going to help us anymore because we've not really got enough men into the box in support. I mean, we've got a Mazzala who's not really getting up there. We're having chances which we're not taking advantage of. Let's whip crosses in. Let's play out wide. Let's go for it. We've got to try and get a goal here at the very least. We can't lose. And we're now begging to try and draw against Kilmarnock. As we've got a throw on the right-hand side with Burns to Palumbo. To Gray. Cross into the box. Too easy to deal with again. Palumbo picks it up for a second time. Wide to Griffith. It's a good ball. Cuts back to Palumbo. Fevrier's on the overlap. Gets to the byline. Delivers to Griffith. It's blocked away easily. We're just taking that little bit too long with the chances. We're not instinctive. We're not just throwing a leg at them. We're trying to do something clever and it's catching us out. Though we are really on top now as Harwood Bellis finds Smorgol. Had a really quiet game. Gets it into Griffith though. His shot straight at the keeper too. We've had enough chances to win 2 games now. This second half alone we have dominated, but we've just not been able to get the chances in. 3 or 4 now straight at the keeper. And on the counter-attack, Kilmarnock have looked ruthless. As Dobbin comes forward down the right again, Burns gets the challenge in. But this is going to be such a disappointing day. I'm going to try and encourage the lads. I need to get something out of them. But if we concede a second, it's over. To the back post, Burns heads away. Rollo will chase it out. We're putting pressure on, but not really intense pressure. He just turns and runs forward with it. Gives it to Leary. To Mabude, the centre forward. Cuts it back to his fullback Fitzharris, who chips it up again. It's easy as you like. Defensively, we're appalling. And Wall puts it in for 2. And this is my problem for the season. We said it pre-match. We said it in the last episode. Why is he focusing on bringing in loads of midfielders when we are clearly so weak defensively? I know we've got a lot of players who haven't got their head in the right place. And maybe that is costing us. I mean, the positive coming out of this at the moment, we're 10 to go. Hibs are losing, Celtic are drawing. If that stays the case, this isn't a disaster. But it was a real opportunity. And it's not the fact we've been beaten by Kilmarnock. It's comfortable. We've wasted chances. They've looked like scoring every single time they've come forward. We've got a high pressing game. They're not pressing the players at all. They're ignoring our instructions. They're taking matters into their own hands, and we're a world-class manager, and they're a side that's been distinctly average for a few years. They're going to need to learn to trust us, or this is going to be a long spell, or it's going to be one where we deliberately annoy them and have to change the whole squad around, as Harwood Bellis gets the ball into Griffith. I know we can't make those transfers, but we can force the players to be unhappy. We can almost force the director of football to let them out, and then he's going to have to replace them. He'll have no choice. And that's looking like a viable option at the moment. I don't want to seem like I'm overreacting to one game, but this performance has been so disturbing. It is Kilmarnock 2, Rangers 0. None of the traditional top 3 have won their games. That's the only positive we can take. But that was atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. The left back was awful. The sub right back was awful. The keeper was shocking. He clearly wants to go. Finn Malcolm, is it worth the fight? I don't know. There are a lot of questions I've got to ask myself. And more importantly, in 3 weeks, we've got to be prepared to get into the Europa League group stages and to beat Celtic in an Old Firm. I don't see how we manage that. We've got the 3rd best side in Scotland on paper. It looks about 8th or 9th best there. Well, we can't be particularly happy with that, can we? The good news, as I say, Celtic drew at home to St Johnstone. Hibernian lose at home to Dundee United. Our old live stream series club did us a favour. Dundee, the ones to watch out for at the moment by the looks of it. And maybe Kilmarnock based on that performance. I mean, I think we know when we're going to be back. I think the problem at the moment is we don't know what state we're going to be back in. We have got a lot of players to try and win round now. And I don't really know the best way of going about it. We've got to win at home to Ross County. We've got to start picking up points. I mean, at this point, maybe that signing that the director of football's trying to make is a good thing. We just need fresh legs and fresh impetus in the club, however it comes. And if that does mean that others end up leaving, or we've got slightly too many in one position, then so be it. Because at the moment, we just need to change something. If we go and have a look at the schedule, I think you know when we're next going to be back. We're going to get through the first leg of Club Brugge and try and get 2 wins against Ross County at home in the Scottish Prem, and then also in the League Cup against St Mirren. And we will be back for our first Old Firm game away from home at Celtic. They're the champions of 6 years in a row. They've got a better side than us. And albeit they didn't win, they did get a result on the first day of the season. And then we've got Club Brugge in a second leg for a place in the Europa League group stages. The good news, I guess, is we will be in Europe regardless. And after that away leg, when we come back next episode, we might already be out of touch. We don't know, because the way we play today, Club Brugge with their wonder kids will beat us by 4, 5 or 6. We've then got Dundee at home. They're our former club. They're absolutely flying at the start of the season. And then a big international break. A debut as England manager before a big spell of what should be winnable games in charge of Rangers. So if you're looking forward to our first Old Firm, if you're looking forward to seeing us trying to recover in Europe, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know what on earth you thought of that performance away at Kilmarnock. We looked so weak defensively. They came forward on 3 or 4 occasions. They looked like scoring every time. We looked woeful in front of goal. There's a big confidence, there's a big mentality problem here. And for many years, people have told you that tactics don't matter in FM, it's all about morale. They're right, let me tell you that for now. If you want to find out if we can recover this situation, or maybe after all of this reaching the elite level, we come to Glasgow Rangers and we get our first sacking of the save. How does that sound? Let's find out this season together. If you want to, please do subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on. It looks like international duty, just like it can be for a player, is going to be a breather for us as a manager coming up soon. That'll be in 2 episodes' time. And hopefully, that'll be our final head coach episode before the Euro 2020 final in real life. And fingers crossed, we'll be looking forward to England in that as well. If you want to catch up with some of the other key playlists, you can find them up in the eye above. There's also a link to the Twitch channel. We've got regular live streams over there, including FM21 and Euro 2020 watch-alongs. The next one of those tomorrow night for Italy versus Spain. And of course, there's a link to the new food channel as well. I'd love it if you could subscribe over there. But a big thanks for watching, for joining me in my pain. We're going to need to do better next time. I'll see you there to find out if we can.